Hi, I'm Dana, and today I really wanted to talk about being taken advantage of because I feel like I've been taken advantage of quite a lot in my life, and I feel like it's the kind of thing where I learn from one situation and I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen again because I was taken advantage of. But if it's not the same situation happening again, I don't realise that it's happening. I just don't notice it until it's way too late, and I'm like, oh, I've been taken advantage of there, haven't I? And it honestly quite annoys me that we so often see discussion of like, oh, autistic people are so often taken advantage of. Autistic people need to be careful not to be taken advantage of. But I don't feel like anyone's actually talking about the ways in which we're taken advantage of, bringing up how we can not be taken advantage of. It doesn't feel like the discussion's going anywhere outside of like, oh yeah, that does happen. So I wanted to try and take it to some other places. And I'm planning on doing that by sharing some of my experiences and some of the ways in which I, looking back, allowed myself to be taken advantage of, I suppose. But I didn't know it was happening. I thought I was just being a nice person, a good person, doing what people are supposed to do. But that's not how the rest of the population behaves a lot of the time. So, getting right into it, back before I found out I was autistic, about a year before my diagnosis, I was looking for a job. I was petrified. Every job interview that I went to was absolutely awful. Every job description that I read, I was like, I don't think I can keep up with that for more than like 3 days, never mind an entire work week, and then going back to the next week and the next week and the next week, Like everything felt so unobtainable, impossible, not like stuff I could actually physically like do. So I was like, I'm gonna have to do something alternative here. I'm going to have to get a job through some other means because I cannot do these like general mainstream jobs that I'm finding. So I went on Instagram and started just searching through local businesses that looked like things I'd enjoy. And I found what I thought at the time was like my holy grail, because there was a video rental store nearby, like an independent one. And like, I've had a VHS collection my entire life. I was obsessed with like all things 90s at that time in my life as well. It was just the perfect opportunity kind of thing. I was like, I can't believe that like the last video shop in the UK is down the street from my house. So I immediately messaged them and was like, hello, I need a job. I would be so passionate and such a great worker here. This would be my dream job. Please give me a job. And they replied, be like, we're not currently in a position to take on employees, but you're welcome to come and volunteer for us. And, if there's a job at some point, you will get it. If there's an opportunity for commission, it will be yours. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So I went. I initially went to an event that they were hosting because it was a video shop with like a TV studio, like filming studio that also doubled as a cinema room. So it was just a super creative space with lots of really interesting people coming and going. And I initially absolutely adored it. Like it makes me so sad looking back because I was so happy working there. And like some of it was that I was getting out of the house from my horrible ex and had a reason to like stay out of the house after he'd gotten home from work. I had a comeback when he was telling me how useless and horrible and awful I was. Like it benefited me in a lot of ways within my relationship to be doing something like that. As I say, it was also like essentially my dream job. I loved it. It was I still had major struggles with like the social aspects of it and dealing with like people and being there for prolonged periods of time, but for the most part I managed to actually do it, and I was really fucking proud of myself. It gave me so much confidence and made me feel like I was actually being a person. So the person that owned it, that was also my boss, was he was initially quite like, oh, just do this, just do this, just do that. And I'd do that thing and then I'd be like, oh, he's not about right now. And I'm just in this like cold, weird building essentially. The building it was in was a bit odd. So I didn't want to just like hang out, really. So a lot of the time I would find myself more work to do. I'd be like, looks like that needs organising, I'm gonna organise it. Looks like this needs doing, I'm gonna do it. I would just do so much extra that I hadn't been asked to do. And that's not where I think I was being taken advantage of, because I was deciding to do it and I really, really fucking loved doing it. I enjoyed it so much. Like, you'll see why it makes me sad looking back on when we get around to it, but like that, honestly, that first year that I was working there was probably like amongst the happiest that I've ever been. Like outside of when I first moved out of my horrible relationship and moved into this house and everything, that was the happiest I've been in my life. It was it was just everything. I loved it. I really, really, truly adored it. So after a few months of just, you know, putting my all in and trying my absolute best and being like, I love working here, I get on really well with my boss, I really like the people that are coming through that I have to deal with, as much as I'm still often like awkward and I'm like, I can't do this social situation and someone else here needs to take over. You know, I still definitely had my issues within it. But overall, I just really, really enjoyed it. And that meant that obviously, like, I became a trustworthy person. I was there all the time. I did what I was told. I didn't do anything that's, like, weird or that you're not meant to do. You know, like, it was just the perfect place for me to be. It really was ideal. So the boss eventually gave me a set of keys, and I was always very aware that they were not my keys per se, but it was a case of like I was arriving at like 10 a.m. to start doing stuff, you know? And even if I organised it beforehand with my boss, he often would show up like hours and hours late. And like, I'm not trying to shit on him for that. We're gonna get to the bits that I want to shit on him for. But like, he had a kid and a wife and like a stressful home life, and he had all sorts of shit going on. So I was like, it's fine that you're late. It's not fine that I'm just waiting here for hours and hours and hours on end for you to get here, you know? So once I'd gotten the keys, I was working much, much longer hours. I was the person that was opening up and locking up. And again, I mostly loved it. I had a couple of times that things went wrong with the alarm when I was like locking up for the night, and that absolutely fucking petrified me. It was like, that was the most on hands, like what's the word? That was the most responsibility I've ever been given in a job, like where I'm actually like if the alarm went off, I had to like go and get someone and like, you know, wake people up and talk to people, and it would be a whole thing. It really fucking petrified me. And I do kind of feel now, looking back, that that's where he sort of started taking advantage of me. Because like I say, we got on well. Like, me and this guy were talking about our home lives. We knew about each other, like, on a reasonably friendly level. So I feel like other people would have been like, I know you don't necessarily want to be at home, but you're here for like 12 hours a day at the minute, and it's not your business, it's not your company, you're not being paid, like, you need to find somewhere else to be and something else to do, or at least not be working for like 12 hours straight. But I also decided to do it, you know, like I was the one that was showing up and doing it all. Like half the time he literally wasn't even in the building. And I'd say that's sort of like the start of the year that was just a decline in working there. I'm not sure I did actually work there for like a full 2 years, to be fair. It might have been more like 18 months, but like there was a very like obvious decline. And I will give that the person I was working for had a bunch of stuff happen in his personal life that was very, very obviously difficult to deal with. Like, it was just situation after situation for him. But he started to just talk to me like absolute crap. Like, he would just snap at me. He would like make absolute demands on my time and of things that I should be doing, when I would be like, I have my plan, like I know what I'm doing, because no offense, but I'm here sorting the business more than you are. I know it's your business. I completely respect that you're the person here that like owns everything and pays for everything. I get it. But also, I'm the person that is organising everything. I'm the person that is putting the tapes on eBay so that we're actually selling something, so that money is actually coming into the business. Like, I am putting my absolute all into this shit, you know? Like, even fully knowing it was not my business, I was like, I'm going to treat it like it is. And not in the way of like taking anything or whatever, you know, but in the way of like, I want to see this business grow. I want to see this succeed. And I'm entirely happy to be like the person in the background doing as much as I can, for my boss to be the person that's like on camera and doing interviews and talking about his amazing business that I've like 90% built. 90% is very strong, but you know, that I've like excessively helped to like build. I definitely didn't help create it. It was already there. Quite frankly, what I'm saying is I was completely happy to let him take advantage of me. I wasn't super aware of it at the time that's what I was doing, but I also knew like, I'm putting in a lot of work here for something that is not mine. I am doing like ridiculously long days and just putting in so much passion and effort and love, and just, you know, giving my absolute all to this business, when I really like, I'm being paid like 100, maybe 200 pounds a month. I'm, you know, it was not a job. And it's the thing of like, yes, to a point I was letting myself be taken advantage of. I was also a 19-year-old autistic girl working for a fully grown like businessman with a journalism degree and shit. Like, he knew that he was taking advantage of me, and he didn't care because it was to his advantage. The thing that makes me really want to bring this one up specifically is because it's the longest that I've done something like that. It's one of the only times that like people who I really think should have known better have been involved. Like, dude was literally 40. I was like less than half his age. He knew that he was taking advantage of me. I know that there were points that his wife was like, are you sure about all this, like, kind of thing, because she knew that he was taking advantage of me. But the fact of the matter is, I would have just carried on doing that and let him take full advantage of me if I'd gotten to see the business grow and flourish, you know? Like, I don't want to, like I've mentioned that it's a video rental shop. I don't want to go super into, like, what it was doing, but it was a very, like, I felt like it was a very eco-good thing to be doing. I just fucking absolutely adored it. And I wanted more than anything to just be a part of it and get to help build it and to watch it grow. And because of that, I was like, even if he is taking advantage of me, I feel like I'm also taking advantage of his business being here for me to do this. And quite frankly, I was prepared to be there for, like, as long as the business was going, you know? Like, if that was the rest of my life, then it was the rest of my life. If it was another 3 years, then it was another 3 years. I would have just done it and done it and done it for as long as I actually, like, possibly could have. But it all went to shit when my boss stopped being able to talk to me like I was a person. Like, that's what really gets me, and that's the reason I laugh about it, because I'm like, I was doing a full-time job for you for like £200 a month, if that, most months, and you couldn't find it in you to speak to me like a person. Like, I know he had a shit ton going on in his personal life, I was there for a bunch of it, but, like, you can still, you know, not be a twat to me. Literally, like, you don't need to be snapping at me and just talking to me like shit. So I tried to send a lengthy text explaining, like, I don't like the way you've been speaking to me, and I'd appreciate if that changed. And he just went off the fucking wheels with it. He just absolutely went off. You know, as much as I'm like, I'm sure it was his mental health, I'm sure he just couldn't handle anymore, and that was the final, like, thing that broke the camel's back and whatever, it's not good enough. Like, I'd been working for this dude for at least 18 months, doing all I could to make his business successful, and he couldn't speak to me nicely. I went to this guy's dad's funeral. Like, you know, like, not only was I doing everything I could for the business, I supported him as much as I could, and to a point saw him as a friend. Like, not really, because he was my male 40-year-old boss, but, like, you know, we spent a good amount of time together on, like, a bunch of the same things. Like, I didn't not see him as a friend at all, you know? And when it was made clear that I would not be returning and just being like, oh no, it's all right, actually, speak to me however you want, I'm just going to continue working for you for 20% commission on videotapes, this is completely fine, just talk to me like shit. When it became clear that wasn't going to be the thing, he wanted me to send invoices for every single month that I'd been paid. I'd never sent this man an invoice. Like, he just sent me the money on PayPal, and I was like, I'm your employee now, like, I've gotten a job, sick. And then when it all went to shit and he was like, oh, I think the taxman might come looking at me because I've been doing some absolutely dodgy things. So he then wanted me to send him 2 years, 18 months, 2 years of invoices for every single amount that I'd been paid by him, so that he could show the taxman that I was actually self-employed and he had nothing to do with me getting paid, and I should have been paying tax and declaring myself as self-employed, when that was not the situation at all. And that's where I'm like, he took advantage of me, because he had a backup plan. He had a backup plan for when it all went wrong. Someone who isn't taking advantage of someone who is just like, oh, Dana wants to do this and Dana wants to do all that. They wouldn't have a fucking backup plan for when I don't want to do it anymore. That's taking advantage of me. It's absolutely disgusting. And it's the kind of thing where I'm really, really scared of doing that again and being in that type of situation again, because I really fell apart after I, like, stopped working there, because it was, you know, being autistic, it was such a big change to my routine, but it was also like, it was losing a part of my special interest. I loved that job. You know, I know it wasn't even an actual fucking job, because I wasn't actually being paid, and he never, like, had me down as an employee anywhere or anything, but, like, I loved what I did there. It was the only time that I actually was like, yo, I can imagine having a career path here. And that was why I was fully prepared to put so much of myself into it. And I think that that's something that I am taking advantage of to do with a lot, because it's been the same in my relationships. We've talked before about how my first boyfriend when I was 16 was very like, your parents are horrible, your parents are really mean, we could move out together, I'm 21 and you're 16, so you can't sign anything or do anything because you're still a child. But he wasn't, so we moved out together, and it very, very quickly became the thing of, like, I don't think he ever liked me as a person. He never seemed to, like, care about me or like me or, like, enjoy my company per se. But he liked that he got home from work and I would have cleaned and I would have made his tea and filled the fridge and filled the freezer and washed his clothes, you know? And I think part of my point here is that I know that a lot of times when I've been taken advantage of, it's stuff where people are like, or why didn't you just not do that? Why didn't you just not go out of your way to do this like ridiculously nice thing for someone or work this hard or whatever else? And like, because I think it's what people are supposed to do. I think we're supposed to help each other and work hard on things and, you know, like, put our whole into things, put our all into stuff. I feel like it's not natural to me to just half-ass something or to, you know, not expect other people to see things in the same way that I do. Like, it's been really, really eye-opening for me recently because I've made good friends with people that are good people, that are interesting people, that are like kind people. And I've gotten very, very used to doing things for people without expecting anything in return. And I do think that's a good trait to have in certain places. But I've spent my entire life up to this point doing things for people with no expectation of return because there was no way they were going to ever return anything, you know? Like, there's videos of me going out of my way to create really cool presents for my ex on this channel. My nicer ex, not the horrible abusive one, the one that was just a bit toxic and unhealthy and mean to me. And, you know, like, I knew that she was not going to put the same level of effort into any of my gifts. I knew that she was not, like, just... I know that the effort I put into people and into things isn't going to be reciprocated. Reciprocate? I'm assuming I said it right. When I do the thing, I'm not doing it with like, oh, well, if I do this, they'll do that. And if I do this, then this will happen. I'm like, I like this person, so I'm going to buy them a nice thing. I'm going to help them out with this thing. I'm going to do X, Y, Z for them. And I'm slowly fully realising and accepting that the majority of people don't do that. But I've also made friends with people that do, and it makes me fucking so uncomfortable. I feel sick every time someone does something nice for me. And it's a case of like one of the people that aren't, one of my newer friends that say, I don't want to be like, they're not part of the inner circle, because like, I just haven't known them for that long. I think they will be eventually. They're a really lovely person. But I reached out to them a bunch at the start of like our friendship and was like, do you want to go to this together? Do you want to come to my house for dinner? Do you want to do this? And they mentioned like, oh, well, you've made us dinner, like made me dinner multiple times. You've done this and you've done this. You should come over to mine. And I was like, you're gonna cook for me? Fuck. You know, and I went over and we had a lovely night, and I felt like it's so weird that I've had multiple times now when I've gone to a friend's place or like a friend's come here and they've gone out of their way to make me feel comfortable and to make me feel looked after. And I very, very much fucking do, you know, like I've experienced the absolute delight of going to someone's house and feeling super fucking comfortable around them and sitting down and being passed a blanket and being cooked for and being asked like, what do you fancy watching? And it's the thing of like, it's so nice and I feel so looked after and it's so lovely, but I'm also like, I don't know how to accept this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation because I'm the person that does that for other people. Like, I will get up and I will bake you a fucking loaf of bread right now, but having me just sit here and be cooked for, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm taking advantage of them. Like, I do honestly feel like I'm going to be repeatedly taken advantage of because I just think it's the right thing to do. You know, I don't want to be someone that exclusively does nice things for people with the expectation that they're going to do something nice for me. I don't want to cook for my friends and have them think that like they have to cook for me at some point. Like, you know, I acknowledge that I do rationally think there should be give and take in relationships and in friendships and the like, but actually not just being the person that gives and gives and gives feels fucking weird. And I do feel to a point as though I've been like trained to just let people take advantage of me. I feel like growing up, my family did massively. You know, like I'm a massive people pleaser. I've fallen in 99% of situations. That's because of my family and my upbringing and them moulding me into someone that will do what you want. And I think also for me, with most situations where I feel like I've been taken advantage of, it's the thing of I'm okay with it until the moment that I'm not, you know? I'm okay with doing nice things for people and looking out for people and generally like doing things when it feels like there's no expectation for me to do so, when it feels as though the other person appreciates it, I think to a point as well when it feels like it's my choice and not like something they want me to do or again are expecting. I really hate people expecting things from me, and I am much more likely to like go into like fight sort of frame of mind and be like, no, go fuck yourself, I'm not doing that for you. Like, you can definitely argue that it's me being naive, that it's me being childish, that it's me wearing rose-tinted glasses or trying to, like, make out the world something that it isn't or whatever else. But I just can't wrap my head around the fact that people on, like, in the general, like, the people that I've known, at least, that are neurotypicals, that are, you know, not part of queer circles, the people that are just those types of people, you know, and a bunch of them are my family as well, they just want things and they want people to do things for them, and they will keep wanting you to do things for them. And I've often found myself in these places where, like, I've done, like, a few things for someone because I was okay with doing it for them and I wanted to do it for them, and all of a sudden that's the expectation, that's what I have to keep doing for them. And as a people pleaser and as someone who just fawns, I will keep doing it. And there's definitely been people in my life that know that and knew that. And, you know, even to the point where, like, my last relationship, I honestly think that she wanted to break up with me. Like, bear in mind, I broke up with her eventually. I honestly think that she probably wanted to break up with me, like, 4+ months before when we broke up. But, you know, not to be a narcissist or whatever, I'm a fucking good partner. Oh, you're down that your room's messy? I'll come over and clean your fucking room for you. Oh, you're hungry? I will buy you food. I will order you food to your house. I don't even have to be there. I just think that you should treat people in the way that you want to be treated. And when it's my partner, I want to be treated like a fucking little princess, okay? Like, that's the thing, the only partners I've had, my first partner, I'm like, I don't think he even liked me, and he was really mean to me, and he was absolutely awful. My second partner, my girlfriend, I think she really wanted to like me, but she just fucking didn't. And that meant that she didn't really act like she liked me a lot of the time. And I was consistently like, oh my God, I can't believe I've gotten this girl. And I think she was like, wow. But I do kind of feel like she took advantage of me in a way. Like, not for, like, the whole relationship, and not in, like, a really, really nasty, horrible way, but I feel like she stuck to the relationship for probably longer than she actually wanted to, and also didn't even actually have the balls to fucking break up with me. I had to do it, awkwardly. It was... That's the thing, it wasn't even, like, a bad breakup, it was just so, like, cringe and awkward and ugh. But I feel like she did take advantage of me in staying with me for longer than she realistically wanted to, because I was nice to her and I did things for her. And to a point, it has definitely, like, built up my boundaries and my barriers and my, like, defense mechanisms, and, like, I'm not as trustworthy of people anymore. I don't want to do things for people that I don't know anymore. If you're not, like, a close friend of mine, I don't want to do shit for you. I don't know you, I don't know what your intentions are, and I'm not doing it. And I think it's really, really, really sad, and I do feel like in some ways I'm not as nice a person as I used to be, but being a nice person hasn't fucking got me very far. Being a nice person has consistently upset me and hurt me and let people take advantage of me and put me into some horrible situations. And, you know, if that means that I have to save, like, the nicest, kindest parts of myself for the moments that I'm with the people that are closest to me, then so fucking be it. I'm not going through the things that I've already been through again. Sometimes I realise that my voice has changed during the video, and it makes me like, was the voice that I was just speaking with my real voice, or is this one? Am I putting this on? What the fuck? But I'm so done with this video now. I keep thinking of more situations where I feel like I was just completely taken advantage of, and it's starting to actually really bring me down. Like, a lot of the time it doesn't get me down because I'm like, at least they got to have a nice experience, you know, like, I would love to have been treated the way that I treated some other people at various points. It would have been really nice if someone acted like they liked me that much. But there are the odd ones where I'm just like, you didn't fucking deserve that, and I wish I hadn't done that for them. As always, I think there's so much more to be said about this, so I would love it if you guys said it in the comments. Obviously don't go into detail on anything you're uncomfortable with, but if you did want to share any times that you've been taken advantage of, ways in which you've been taken advantage of, ways in which you're more aware of it, any ways that you've done it to other people, just anything that is a part of the discussion, I would love to have in the comments, as always. But that is the end of this video. So as always, I keep just saying as always, I'm so sorry. Like I've said in the past, You can follow me on TikTok, Twitter and Instagram. I post most on TikTok and sometimes on Instagram and not really at all on Twitter. I just go on there to like look at off me stuff. But they're all there if you want to look at them. I also have YouTube memberships going and Patreon and Ko-fi if anyone wants to donate me money, but you obviously don't have to in a cost of living crisis, and I'll survive, hopefully. No, I'm not trying to put that guilt on you. If I don't survive, it's because of the Tories and my own mental health. Every now and again, I'm like, God, I shouldn't be mean about the Tories in my videos. People that are following me that are Tories might unfollow. And then I'm like, you know what, if you're a Tory, I think I'd prefer it if you did. You don't have to. I know you guys love being like, I can do what I want, I have freedom of speech. You do, you can do and say whatever you want, but so can I, and I want you to go away. So, yeah. Lose me followers, I don't care. I don't want Tories and my followers. That's such a fucking derailment from the video and was entirely pointless. I'm so sorry. But whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.